Welcome to Almira Vlog channel. All about Japan. Samurai, Shi-saemura, were the hereditary military nobility and officer caste of medieval and early modern Japan. From the 12th century to their abolition in the 1870s. They were the well-paid retainers of the daimyo, the great feudal landholders. They had high prestige and special privileges, such as wearing two swords. They cultivated the Bushido codes of martial virtues, indifference to pain, and unflinching loyalty, engaging in many local battles. During the peaceful Edo era 1603 to 1868, they became the stewards and chamberlains of the daimyo estates, gaining managerial experience and education. In the 1870s, samurai families comprised 5% of the population. The Meiji Revolution ended their feudal roles, and they moved into professional and entrepreneurial roles. Their memory and weaponry remain prominent in Japanese popular culture. In Japanese, they are usually referred to as bushi, wu shi bi, meaning warrior, or buke, wu ji, according to translator William Scott Wilson. In Chinese, the character shi was originally a verb meaning to wait upon, accompany persons in the upper ranks of society. And this is also true of the original term in Japanese, saburao. In both countries the terms were nominalized to mean those who serve in close attendance to the nobility, the Japanese term saburai being the nominal form of the verb. According to Wilson, an early reference to the word samurai appears in the Koken Wakashu, the first imperial anthology of poems, completed in the 10th century. By the end of the 12th century, samurai became almost entirely synonymous with bushi, and the word was closely associated with the middle and upper echelons of the warrior class. The samurai were usually associated with a clan and their lord, and were trained as officers in military tactics and grand strategy. While the samurai numbered less than 10% of then Japan's population, their teachings can still be found today in both everyday life and in modern Japanese martial arts, the philosophies of Buddhism and Zen, and to a lesser extent Confucianism and Shinto, influenced the samurai culture. Zen meditation became an important teaching because it offered a process to calm one's mind. The Buddhist concept of reincarnation and rebirth led samurai to abandon torture and needless killing, while some samurai even gave up violence altogether and became Buddhist monks after coming to believe that their killings were fruitless. Some were killed as they came to terms with these conclusions in the battlefield. The most defining role that Confucianism played in samurai philosophy was to stress the importance of the lord-retainer relationship, the loyalty that a samurai was required to show his lord. Literature on the subject of Bushido such as Hagakure, Hidden in Leaves by Yamamoto Tsunetomo and Goran no Sho, Book of the Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, both written in the Edo period, contributed to the development of Bushido and Zen philosophy. Culture. As aristocrats for centuries, samurai developed their own cultures that influenced Japanese culture as a whole. The culture associated with the samurai such as the tea ceremony, monochrome ink painting, rock gardens, and poetry was adopted by warrior patrons throughout the centuries 1200 to 1600. These practices were adapted from the Chinese arts. Zen monks introduced them to Japan, and they were allowed to flourish due to the interest of powerful warrior elites. Muzo Soseki (1275–1351) was a Zen monk who was advisor to both Emperor Go-Daigo and General Ashikaga Takayui (1304–58). Muzo, as well as other monks, served as a political and cultural diplomat between Japan and China. Muzo was particularly well known for his garden design. Another Ashikaga patron of the arts was Yoshimasa. His cultural advisor, the Zen monk Zeami, introduced the tea ceremony to him. Previously, tea had been used primarily for Buddhist monks to stay awake during meditation. Japanese swords are the weapons that have come to be synonymous with the samurai. Chokuto, swords from the Nara period, featured a straight blade. By 900, curved tachi appeared, followed by the uchigatana and ultimately the katana. Smaller commonly known companion swords are the wakizashi and the tanto. Wearing a long sword, katana or tachi, together with a smaller sword, became the symbol of the samurai. And this combination of swords is referred to as a daisho, literally, big and small. During the Edo period only samurai were allowed to wear a daisho. A longer blade known as the nodachi was also used in the 14th century, though primarily used by samurai on the ground. During the existence of the samurai, two opposite types of organization reigned. The first type was recruits-based armies, at the beginning. During the Nara period, samurai armies relied on armies of Chinese-type recruits, and towards the end in infantry units composed of ashigaru. The second type of organization was that of a samurai on horseback. who fought individually or in small groups. Each child who grew up in a samurai family was expected to be a warrior when he grew up. So much of his childhood was spent practicing different martial arts. A complete samurai should be skilled at least in the use of the sword kenjutsu, the bow and arrow kyujutsu, the spear sojutsu, yarojutsu, the halberd naginata-jutsu, and subsequently the use of firearms hojutsu. Similarly, they were instructed in the use of these weapons while riding a horse. They were also expected to know how to swim and dive. The samurai, members of a powerful military caste in feudal Japan, began as provincial warriors before rising to power in the 12th century, with the beginning of the country's first military dictatorship, known as the shogunate. As servants of the daimyos, or great lords, the samurai backed up the authority of the shogun, and gave him power over the Mikado emperor. The samurai would dominate Japanese government and society until the Meiji Restoration of 1868 led to the abolition of the feudal system. Despite being deprived of their traditional privileges, many of the samurai would enter the elite ranks of politics and industry in modern Japan. More importantly, the traditional samurai code of honor, discipline and morality known as Bushido, or the Way of the Warrior, was revived, and made the basic code of conduct for much of Japanese society. Japan's first most famous samurai, Oda Nobunaga, Jichan Shinjan. While Miyamoto Musashi may be the best-known samurai internationally, Oda Nobunaga (1534–1582) claims the most respect within Japan. Beyond being a superb warrior and strategist, Nobunaga was responsible for setting in motion the chain of events that would reunify the nation and end the Warring States period. While the Ashikaga shogunate nominally ruled Japan during the Muromachi period 1336–1573, outside of Kyoto the real power came to be held by local daimyo, leaving the nation regionally fractured. Nobunaga was born into a family with holdings in Owari Province, now part of Aichi Prefecture, and following the death of his father in 1551, he united his clan and took control of all of Owari by 1559. He then defeated his major rival in the region, Imagawa Yoshimoto, in 1560, and in 1561, he went on to attack Mino Province, the southern part of modern-day Gifu Prefecture, a name it received from Nobunaga himself, when he took Inabeyama Castle and renamed it Gifu Castle in 1567. The end. Thank you for watching. Mega shout out Team Eyebags.